Hi, and welcome to Paul's Property Podcast. So we've been going for a few weeks now, been talking about some very topical subjects, rather should I say, from the mortgage market, which again has changed this week with the return of 100% mortgages via Skipton, which is really exciting, which will give the first-time buyer in the market a well-needed boost, which is great. Of course, we spoke to Aidan about what he should look for as a first-time buyer. We spoke to Sam, who's recently been through the traumatic experience of buying her first home, has managed to keep all her hair, I'm very pleased to say, unlike myself. And today, what we're going to do, Sam has phoned up during the week, and her parents have asked her a question. The parents have been in their family home for a number of years, and because Sam has recently been through that scenario, their question, of course, when they bought, as my parents did 30, 40 years ago, estate agents were a completely different animal as such than they are today. So welcome back, Sam. So understand your parents would like a bit of advice.
Yes, they would. Thank you so much for having me back, Paul.
Yeah, all good.
When they asked me this question, I thought, what better place to come than to come back and ask you?
Well, that's good to know. Thank you.
So obviously it's been a long time since they last went through the process. And their first question is really, what makes a good estate agent?
What makes a good estate agent? Now, at this point, I should really just describe myself. But that's not necessarily true. Agents are very, they have to be very personable. So there's a number of things that one should look for. I mean, everybody, including myself, has flaws. We're human beings. We all make mistakes. So a great deal of it can be about a connection. One can often look at it, if you'll excuse the comparison, like a first date. First impressions are absolutely key. For instance, when not going off the subject altogether, I promise you, when I interview someone, I look at that person as if that person is coming to value my home. So it's that first impression that is really crucial. So how does that person look? Okay. It doesn't matter for me in this day and age if they're wearing a suit or if they're in casual attire. Doesn't matter as long as they're smart. Yeah. That's if they're wearing a suit, it's got to be a good suit. Okay. It can't be just, big baggy shirt with tie hanging half mast like a school kid. If it's jeans and shirt, nice pair of jeans, good pair of shoes. If they're nice shoes have got to be shiny. That's something that I always look out for. I've been known to turn people away on job interviews because they've had dirty shoes. I just won't, because I believe that very much represents their personality. Introduce themselves. So if I'm going to someone's house, I'll make sure that they feel at comfort with me immediately.
Yeah.
So, and because I'm, without meaning to sound arrogant, a slightly larger chap, taller, I don't stand on their top stair when I open their door because I don't want them to feel intimidated. Yeah. So I take a step back on the stair, so we're even height, so I can look them straight in the eye. Hi, I'm Paul from Paul Bott and Company, and introduce myself, so that it's that connection that I think is really important. Make them feel at ease. I think that when one says what makes a good estate agent, that's point number one. Is how do you approach the house? How do you introduce yourself? The old days of handing out a business card, I apologise if some agents still do that. For me, is very corporate. Is very it's nice handshake. If it's a lady, I don't want to squash her hand, but if it's a big burly fella, good handshake, good strong handshake. So they get that feeling of confidence. What I would do is subtle little things. Offer them a cup of tea. Would you like can I get you a drink? If it's hot, would you like a glass of water or something? Now this is really interesting because if you look into it, I always say yes because I want to sit down with that person. I'm not in a hurry. I'll do a valuation. I've booked a good hour and a half, 2 hours Don't panic, public. I'm not going to bore you for that long. Don't worry. If you're for me a drink, it's great because I want to sit down. I want to get to know you. Yeah. I want to get to know about you. I want to get to know about the property, how long you've been here. Have you enjoyed it? Yeah. Why are you looking to move? Is there, without being too personal, is there a change in circumstance within your life that you need to move? So I'm interested in you. And I think that, again, is something that you should look for. Someone that's interested. Someone who just walks around the house, stares at the ceilings like they do on, Homes Under the Hammer, something along those lines, and throws a price in the air. See you later. Not interested. Yeah. Bye-bye. That person, no. Obviously doing very well, taking their marketplace for granted. So invite them in. Would you like a drink? Yes or no? We can come back to that. Show them around the house. A flat or a house. Now, this is when you can really start to see if that agent knows what they're doing, what they're talking about. For instance, if you own a flat and you bought it as a 1-bedroom flat and it's got a nice big kitchen, so you think, okay, I'm going to create some value on this property by taking the kitchen, put it in my nice big lounge and create a 2nd bedroom. So what the agent should be doing is inquiring, did you require any planning permission for that? If it's a leasehold property, which we discussed before, did you get freeholders' consent to change the configuration of the property? Because that's a requirement. If it's share of freehold, which we've spoken about, did you get the other freeholders' consent? If not, you need it. Did you do a deed of variation? So the lease plan of a flat, which will be in the lease, will need to be updated, and the deed of variation to put the new lease plan in. If it's so these questions from the agent will make you know, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Guy or girl, sorry, this person knows what they're talking about. If it's a house and you've done a loft conversion, has this been signed off by the council? Because if it hasn't, you could have spent £40,000 on a loft conversion, haven't got planning for it, hasn't been signed off, has no value whatsoever. So all these things are very intricate to the value of your property, and again, we'll show you what that person is talking about.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful, and I think that will really help them to narrow down their choice. I think they've invited a few different estate agents to come and value the property, and obviously it's very special to our family. We've been there for a long time.
Yeah, so absolutely.
They want to make the right choice. Yeah, I think that advice is really helpful.
It must be quite for someone to invite a complete stranger into their home can be quite intimidating.
Yeah.
So you've got to make them feel at ease, make them feel comfortable.
Okay. So how do they get a sense of how much interest a specific agent will be able to generate around their property?
That comes down to making sure that the value is correct. Okay. Right. So what someone should do, the agent will, they'll discuss the property. The agent should already, before even going to the property, have done his research and have an idea of the value of the property in his mind. Now, what he should do as well is, let's say your house is worth £800,000. Your parents' house is worth £800,000. Okay. So I need to bring with me comparable evidence of properties that are on market, that have sold, that have been on the market for a while, but so too much money. So I can say, listen, we sit at this because of A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. The thing to look out for is, with respect to some of my competitors, someone that will overvalue the property to buy their business. So your parents will probably have an idea in their mind. They might have done the Zoopla valuation, which with respect to Zoopla, I can't say that because they'll sue me. Isn't always right. But didn't say that. But, they'll have an idea. So, it might be higher, lower, the same as what they think. But the agent can't just sit there and say £800,000. Yeah. Okay. We've sold this, we've sold this, we've sold this. Okay. This was on the market for too long, so we had to reduce it. Yeah. But, and we've got to look at, to a degree, square footage, only if it's in the immediate same pocket of the city. But that agent should be able to show value, which will thus determine the amount of interest. If the agent is a good agent, so we'll know which buyers he's got or they've spoken about in the morning meetings and so on and so forth. He will know, well, names should come straight to his head. Well, I've got a so-and-so, 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 so-and-so that will view this, you know? So it's a case of, I'm not bringing it on for too much money because that's a complete waste of my money, to be frank. I'm not going to give the property away because my job is to get my client, your parents, as much money as I possibly can without pushing the boundaries of the marketplace.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. They've also heard a few things about online estate agents.
Online estate agents.
What would you say about that?
Estate agency, you get what you pay for. And I mean this out with the greatest respect again to the online guys. 100%, they do a job, they do it to the best of their ability. But estate agency has and always will be one of the fewer professions that require the human touch.
Yeah.
They really do. The human communication, the voice at the other end of the phone, rather than everything being done via internet. And, you know, the idea of, you know, you pay 800 quid as opposed to, let's say, parents' house, £800,000, yeah? Your average fee, 1%, or you could do a set fee for slightly less or whatever, or you pay an online agent 800 quid, you know? Huge difference in price and huge difference in level of service.
Right.
If you want to just get the basic, you know, it goes online, they email you, you have to do the viewing, which won't be an in-depth viewing because a lot of people will be polite and will just come around, look at your house. It's the best house they've seen so far, run down the road and you'll never hear from them again. So you're potentially losing out on a lot of buyers. So potentially the money you're trying to save by the agent, you're losing out for not getting the best possible buyer at the same time. And then the big deal is sales progression, which we went into in detail with yourself and Aidan. With these online agencies, there's no one that does sales progression. So you haven't got a clue what's going on. You've got to depend on solicitors and you'll be phoning agents either side of you're buying or selling to see what's going on. And they won't want to talk to you because you're not their client, you're not their buyer, you're not their seller.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're going to sell, use an estate agent, you know, use an estate agent. Don't go online, use an estate agent.
That makes total sense. Absolute total sense. So another question they asked me is, should they use multiple estate agents or stick to one?
Again, it's a very good question. Very good question. If you've got a property in the same location, okay, let's pick where we are, Kemptown Village in Brighton. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some main players in the field. Myself, I'm going to use names because, you know, Ben round the corner at Fox's, very, very good. Michael at Brownthorne, very, very good. We're the three main players in this area. So if you've got a property here, so I've just taken a property on Marine Parade. If you use two agents in the same area, absolute waste of time. All it's going to scream out is desperation, you know, because, to a certain degree, each agent will have different buyers because people would have phoned in from Rightmove or Zoopla or another portal about different properties, but the majority will be the same.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is sending out a signal that we're in a poor market, which we're not, I emphasise, and I'm desperate to sell my property, so thus potentially willing to take less than what I should. On the other hand, this particular property I use in myself because I'm a Kemptown agent, an independent Kemptown agent, but they're also using, I'm not going to mention their name, a larger national estate agent that has potentially, so they say, more reach, which no one has these days in a day of Rightmove. That's absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
It really is. But they have people coming to them for higher end properties, which I get. But then I've got properties around that same price point, so I can bounce, and as I have been already, bouncing several people into it from something in Chichester Terrace, Sussex Square, onto one in Marine Parade. So in that instance, it can work. you know. But generally, unless you're in an appalling market, such as 2007 into 2008, very difficult time, credit crunch. Normal marketplace, just one agent, that's all you require, because you're going to be paying more for multiple agencies because I've got to spend all my money and there's a risk I'm not going to get anything back. So I'm going to charge you more, for the risk that I'm going to undertake. Just use one agent. That's a good agent. That's all you need.
Okay, thank you. So next, and you hinted on this earlier, how much do agents charge and what should be included in this charge?
Okay, so standard fee in this day and age is 1%, plus of course the dreaded VAT. It's a good thing to look out for actually, because, I used to get away when, back in the day, back in the 90s, when the first flat I think I sold was 49,950 in St Leonard's Road in Hove, if I remember correctly. And the fee was 2%.
Yeah.
Because properties were so cheaper, people had to make money. So 2%, 3% for multiple agency, minimum fee of £1,000 plus VAT. Of course, back then you didn't have the internet, you didn't have your management software system, you didn't have Rightmove or Zoopla, but you still, people still had to make money. So, but in this day and age, if someone's coming in at, I'll do it for 0.5%, it's either they're coming into an area that other agents everybody's trying to get to, I'm going to use an area, Hanover, for instance, incredibly popular area, great for families, great for schooling. There's two agents that are particularly very, very strong in that area. That's the area of their domain. But I've sold people houses in Hanover and sold them for them, and I, in this instance, have to compete with those agents that can afford, because their overheads aren't as high as we have here. So I'll do 0.5%. To be frank, I'm not going to make any money on it, but that person may tell someone else who's got a bigger property, oh, that Paul Bott is great, or one of his team is fantastic. So it will lead breed instructions. Bit of a corporate saying there, but it's true, and having your board up outside of property, one of the oldest forms of marketing for sales boards, people still drive past and see a house, and that name will lodge in their brain when they come to market as well. Oh, I see Paul's got that board, he's got that board. Yeah, he's obviously doing well in this area. I hear he comes from the area as well. Let's get him round. It can breed. You're not going to make any money. In fact, you might lose money, but it can create further business for you. But really, your parents should be expecting to pay 1%, 0.85 to 1%, but definitely not over. If an agent comes in and says 1.5, say, no way. Okay. No way. They can negotiate 100%.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. So that's all the questions that they had, but I wondered, is there anything else that you would like to add, or a summary of advice for them?
No, I mean, I think by the stage that we've covered, that you've invited them in, things like, you've offered them a cup of tea, you've shown them around the house, you've spoken about the house, what they think that, have you done this, have you done that, is that legal, is that, where you've got to know. For instance, a lounge where you've got a chimney breast in the bedroom upstairs and they're taken out in the lounge, is that supported? Because that could fall through at any time, type of thing. It's a case of, by the stage you've all sat down, you're going to know if that person is for you. Okay. Yeah. You're going to know if you feel safe in the hands of that agent. Yeah. You would have asked, how well do you know the area? Again, without meaning to plug too much, I'm born and bred around here. I've lived in Queen's Park up the road my entire life. My primary school is 20 yards from my office. I haven't gone very far. So I know this area. I like people to feel safe in that fact, and the safe that, we're one of the only independents left in the city. So we have to go the extra mile, which should give people more ability to trust us, because I know I'm plugging myself a lot here and I apologise, but the bottom line is, at the end of the day, it's my name above the door. It's my father's and mother's name above the door. And that for me in this area means a great deal. So I will not have that blemish, which means I will go the extra mile.
Yeah.
And I try and get that across to people on valuations. So I want them to feel safe within me. I want them to, do you feel at ease with the agent? Have they shown knowledge about property as a whole when walking about the property? Have they got clean shoes? Did they turn up in a really flash mode and they've got typical estate agent spiky hair and shiny suits? Were they polite enough to accept a drink, sit down, have a chat, get to know you? Do you feel confident in their valuation, how they came to their figure and the evidence that they showed you to substantiate that figure, whether it was higher or lower or the same as what you want? Do you feel that they have good knowledge of the area, or have they just, moved here from another office that's in Hove, for instance, or Port Slade or something? Do they know the local schools, the transport links, the local shops, restaurants, personal knowledge? I don't know, throwing a couple of stories about, when I went to that, I know that place and what it was before and all that type of thing. Are they fully up to date with the marketplace, what's going on behind the scenes? Such as we mentioned right at the very beginning, Skipton, 100% mortgages coming back into the marketplace. That's only happened within the last 2 or 3 days. Are they aware of this? Are they telling you about that and how that might help and affect the marketing of your property and the growth of the property? Have they explained to you about the history of their company? The in inverted commas, the reach, that their office has. Are people still going on about that they've got an office in London, that they've got this and that? Which, to be frank, and everybody needs to know this, is complete nonsense, because everybody's on Rightmove. So if they're telling you things like this, they're not the agent for you, because they're not trustworthy with respect to them, because they're telling you things that aren't true. That agent has to be 100% truthful, and people that are selling get a good judge. The bottom line, do you feel safe, comfortable and secure in the knowledge that your most valuable assets in your existence is safe in the hands of that person and their team? That is what makes a good estate agent.
Thank you so much, Paul. This is obviously such a big and quite emotional decision for them.
Huge.
And I think all this advice will give them so much more confidence.
I really hope so, because you're choosing the right agent. As I said, no one's perfect. I have flaws. One of my flaws, to be frank, is because I come from Brighton, and because I went to Brighton College up the road and St John the Baptist and Luke's and all sorts of things. Sometimes I waffle on a little bit too much about my times at these schools and how often I got the slipper at Brighton College and this, that and the other. That's my flaw. Being a bloke, I talk about myself too much, but that's my flaw. But, at the same time, I want people to feel safe and secure, that they can. And one of the things I often say, and this is something that your parents should be able to do, is not wait till the office is open to be able to speak to someone. Here's my card. That's my mobile. If you wake up at 10 o'clock one evening, or you're asleep on a sofa, or you're sitting there chatting, and you say, we didn't ask Paul that, just call the mobile. I'll take the call. I don't have a PC at home. I don't have emails at home. Otherwise, I'd never sleep. But I'll take the call anytime. It's knowing that agent is there 100% behind you all the way is crucial for you, knowing that it's all right. We're with, I'm going to say we're with Paul. It's fine. It's great. No problem at all. Lovely. And they know anything's go wrong, I'll fix it. And that's just not the same for me. That should be the same for every single agent that's out there.
Yeah.
You've got to go the extra mile. And I'll shut up now. But one thing I will add, as I always do, at the end of our podcast, is that it was really help us get this word out, get messages out, because the subjects that we're talking about, I feel, are really important.
Yes.
And if you'd like and subscribe to this podcast, it would really help us venture forward and get more listeners, and so on and so forth. But thank you for listening. It's been great talking to you, and thank you, Sam, for coming back.
Well, thanks for having me again.
Cool.
Have a great day.
And you.
Bye-bye. Bye.